And hello, everyone, and welcome to my new show, Scarefest TV Plus. Scarefest TV Plus is brought to you by Scarefest Weekend, but it is only for subscribers in the early phases. We will eventually release all episodes public, so if you're tuning in free, then you know that you waited long enough. But if you want to see the raw, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/ScarefestRadio, and you can join me in my new venture. My guest for my premiere episode is Mr. Frank Saladino. Frank is a swell guy. I met him down in Tennessee this past spring, really. May, I think it was. And Frank, I'm going to tell you, okay, first of all, not many people impress me as much as you did. So we're gonna reminisce a minute, but also
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And of course, everybody, if you're tuning in, you realize that Frank Saladino was douchey 80s guy from the cult film Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I have never once in my life. I have never once in my life felt guilty about giving someone a title like that until I met you.
You know, they say no, what is it? Even bad publicity is good publicity, right? But I'm sorry to interrupt, right?
Okay, now I'm gonna start with Sleepaway Camp.
Right.
Now first I'm gonna give you credit. I rewatched the movie,
Mm-hmm.
which right in itself tells you right there that because it's not. I like the movie. It's not one of my favorites.
Sure.
So there, I'm just gonna put that out there.
Not one of my favorites either, but that's okay.
But I do want to say, and this kind of leads into where I'm going with it. You were one of the few, I'm going to call it actors, in the adult population of that movie. As far as you seemed very natural on screen, your dialogue, what you had, didn't seem forced. I felt like you were, in that movie, you were a memorable character, even though you didn't get top billing. Now, the reason I wanted to bring that up was your career was reasonably short in the movie industry.
Yes. Few reasons for that. First of all, I didn't have a lot of speaking parts. I didn't have a lot of dialogue. So
right.
I had there wasn't room for error, I guess. Whatever I had to say, that was it.
Now, okay.
Kind of like a 10-course meal, and all you get is the dessert. That dessert better be the best thing ever made.
I do want to point out that I also watched the first Turn On.
Ooh.
Everybody, I don't know if you watched this movie, but I never saw it till yesterday. But here's the description.
That was hilarious.
A group of teenage summer campers, incidentally, Frank got typecast. No, he was completely different. Summer campers and one counselor share the stories of their first sexual experiences when a rock slide, incidentally misspelt on IMDb, a rock slide traps them in a cave. Everyone, this is a trauma movie, and this is the most trauma movie you will ever watch in the trauma library. That's what I can say about it.
That was hilarious, that movie.
Now you didn't. Okay, I'm sorry, Frank. You didn't get the love scenes, but you did get to spend a lot.
I did off camera.
Did you?
Booyah!
All right. Well, I just want to.
Gino, remember?
Yeah. Well, you were Jeff in that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Frank. You spent a lot of time in your scene in there combing your hair.
Yes.
Beautiful hair that it was.
I had a lot of it.
And in that movie, you actually, okay, now everybody, you've seen this guy now. You've seen him on screen. You know where he's at. This confident, virile male. And in that movie, he plays this, I'll just put it this way. The blowing in the ear scene was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Wow. Okay.
What?
It was fun.
Were you still young enough that awkwardness came naturally to you?
You know, I just turned 20. I think I auditioned at 19. So I was lifeguarding at the time. I was a lifeguard for like 5 years, right out of high school and through college. So I auditioned at 19. Now, First Turn On and Sleepaway Camp were just a couple weeks apart, by the way. It was real quick. It was a great summer, my best summer. 2 movies right off the bat, bang, bang. So, yeah, I guess maybe I was a 19-year-old because I auditioned at 19 and then did it. The First Turn On, I might have done at 19 and then turned 20 and then I did Sleepaway Camp. It was like really, really close. So my birthday's July 13th. So probably right around now we were doing Sleepaway Camp. And then, a few weeks back was we would have been doing the First Turn On. So it's like back to back. So yeah, the awkwardness was probably but then again, no, hold on a second. I wasn't really awkward when it came to girls.
You talked a good game in the movie. Yeah, but okay. Yeah, in the movie though, you talked a good game. But when it came down to brass tacks,
I had to play. Let me put it this way: I had to play the awkwardness with women. In real life, I was not awkward. At all. But in the movie, I had to play it. So I'm glad I'm glad I convinced you. You were
very actually you were almost as awkward on screen as I was actually at that age. Just to put it out there. Now I wanted to ask you, okay, first of all, do you remember your tagline in that movie? And I'll get you started. When in doubt,
first turn on?
Yeah, in the First Turn On.
Yes.
When in doubt.
When in doubt, whip it out. And that was my line.
Oh, really?
And then they said, we love that line. We're going to use it. But don't show me how it works.
No.
It's okay. I had no intention of.
Okay, so you did these 2 movies. Now, okay, back up a little bit. Were you actually taking acting lessons, or did you just show up and audition?
Yes, and I totally forgot about that until you just asked me that question. That is really cool that you just did that. Because I completely forgot I took acting lessons. So I wasn't for long. Steven Strumpel was my instructor, and it was who played Radar? Gary, what was his name? It was his father.
Okay.
It was his father's studio in the Village. So I would go there, once a week. The Village, New York City, because you get people watching from all over the world. So, and as I'm sure you have, yes. So, yes, the Village in New York City. So, we'd go in and take acting lessons there. I was probably, maybe 16, 17.
Okay.
And, so it was pretty, I enjoyed it. I think, it was memorizing lines, first of all. So first you had to memorize lines, because if you think about it, you can't put any emotion or feeling or experience in a line unless you first memorize the line, right? And then you kind of, need to associate it with some kind of an experience. So this way that emotion will be transferred to the listener, right? So you really, you've got to memorize it first, and then kind of, see who, what's the point you're trying to get across, play off an audience, play off your partner, and to try to get your, your feelings across. I really demonstrated this with a guitar recently. I said, I want you to know something. Regardless of the political climate and all this nonsense, we're really the same. And I said, I'm going to prove it to you. I said, I'm going to take this guitar. I said, nobody knows who's associated with what, and it doesn't even matter. We might not have the same DNA, but we all have DNA. And I played a chord. And I said, listen to this chord. I said, I'm not going to tell you which is a happier sounding and which is a melancholy sound. I said, it's important for a musician to understand this, because a happier sound, if I want to get across, and this is acting as well as singing, creating a song, if I want you to feel my emotion, whether it's a happy emotion or a sad emotion, I'm going to pick chord changes that are going to be, I should have a guitar over here, but would make you feel, I got about 30 of them all over the place, but not within reach. So I would choose chords that make you feel happy. That vibration, the strings are actually moving air right through to your ear, and it's going to make you feel something. And I could make you feel happy or make you feel sad by the chords I choose. So each string, right, has a point A and point B. I'm not sure how it, I guess, yeah, piano would be the same thing because you're hammering on keys that hit strings in the piano. But these actually travel through the air to you, and it means something to you. So I proved it. I said, how many people, raise your hand, how many people feel happy when I play these chords? And then, okay, now what about this one? And everybody, how many people feel sad? And they feel sad. I said, do you see how that works? I said, do you see how the media tries to pit one against the other? I just want you to know that we're really the same. And I just proved it to you. Nobody knows anything about each other, but just understand that we really all are brothers and sisters in the end. And we feel the same way. So don't let other people try to fill your head full of nonsense, and know that we feel the same way. We feel happiness the same. When we feel sadness the same. And I said, it just proved it to you. So with that proof, by taking words, you have to make someone feel that emotion. So whether it's a happy, sad, confused, it could be just a look, how you're sounding. So, and this is all after the fact. This is like, first you have to make the cake. First you have to memorize the words. Then you get to like doctor it up. Am I going to put vanilla on it, add a little coconut? Is it going to be chocolate? Maybe a little pineapple? You don't know. But so that's kind of how you're making all of this. And I just tried to like tie in with the acting with a musician and because either way you're trying to get to an audience, whether the audience is going to be through dance or the audience is going to be through music or through acting. So you have, the audience you have to think about, and then the method of how you're going to transfer what it is in your heart or your mind to that person's heart or mind. So the thing we need to know is, what do I have in common with you? I don't even have to know you, or I should say, what do I as a human being have in common with you as a human being? I could go down at the most basic level, and that's what I need to reach, because everything else is just baloney. It's just nonsense. So that's important for any actor, and that's male and female. Meryl Streep will not say she's an actress. I'm an actor, right? So
now, what I want to know is, okay, you took acting lessons. You're obviously passionate about it. You had 2 movies right back to back, and
yeah, it was great. And what happened, right?
Yeah, what happened?
I'll tell you. I learned at an early age, and it's very interesting because a few things were happening. It's not easy being me, I tell you. At that time, I grew up kind of fast. I'm going to put this all in 2 seconds. It took me my first year in high school. I got kicked out of Holy Cross High School. I hated high school. It was an all-boy high school. I said, this sucks. So I was terrible in school, right? So I was 1977, first year. It kicked me right out of high school. My parents went to the teachers at parent-teacher day and said, how's your son feeling? My father said he feels great. Why? Well, he hasn't been here in 3 months. What do you mean? I drop him off to school every day. What are you talking about? He's here every day. I used to go in the front door, out the back door, take the bus back home, take 2 buses back home. I just couldn't stand school. However, then I went to Jamaica High School, sophomore, junior, senior. So the senior year came, and and they said, Frank, you don't have enough credits to become a senior. You have a choice. You can either go to summer school and then become a senior and graduate with your class, or do the whole junior year all over again. So my mother at the time was raising 3 kids, right? Well, we were already in high school, but also a full-time job in Manhattan and going to college at night. So I used to hear her type, tick, 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 type at 1 o'clock in the morning. And she had to get up early to go to work in Manhattan and then come home, make dinner and all that, and then go to school. And I said, how pathetic am I that I can't even do my homework? And this poor woman is killing herself coming home, taking care of 3 kids, and then of course I had my father there too, and then going to school and then getting, great grades. So at that time, I said, I bet I really kicked this into gear. So my mother said, hey, Frankie, you have a choice. You can either do the easy thing, go to summer school and then graduate with your friends, or do the hard thing that's going to change your life forever. And I said, well, what's that, Ma? She said, why don't you do the whole junior year all over again? So this way because the purpose of it is to learn, to study, not to just get out of school, not just to graduate and go. You have a function, you have a purpose, you have a goal, you have a job to do. And every day you're walking through that hallway. This is 17 years old now. Every day you're walking through that hallway, you're going to pass every one of your friends. So instead of just having summer school over in 3 weeks and then, okay, pull a Band-Aid off and it's done, every single day for 365 days, you're going to walk through that school and you're going to pass your friends and then you go, ha ha. Nobody would say ha ha because I would make the dentist rich. But they knew that I was not going to graduate with them. So every single day I had to pass through my friends and I wasn't going to graduate with them. But I made sure, because I had to pay the piper, that I aced every test that came my way for the next 2 years, junior and senior. So as a result of me taking control, first of all, stop the bleeding, right? I stopped the bleeding. I paid my penalty. I redid my junior year over, and I aced every test that ever came to me for the next 2 years. Now, the borough of Queens in New York, you have 5 boroughs, right? Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, and what did I miss? Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, right? Queens is the most populated with students. So I won the most improved student out of, I don't know how many million kids are in Queens. So I won that award, and they only give it to one kid. So I went from a failing average to a 98 average. Like, how did you pull that off? So when I was doing acting, I already had that previous experience behind me of what happens when I take control of myself, because I did that at 17, right? So now I did these 2 movies, and this is why I mention it, because now it'll make sense. So I did the 2 movies, First Turn on Sleepaway Camp. And at that time, because keep in mind, I graduated high school, because instead of graduating at 18, or 17, I graduated at 18 now, right? So I always wanted to be, because I didn't know I was going to be in the movies. So I always wanted to be a fighter pilot. So when I got out of high school and I had such amazing grades, I got because if you want to go to the Air Force Academy, West Point, or Annapolis, you can't just sign up and go, hey, I want to go to one of these, Ivy League schools. You need to get a congressional nomination. So I received a congressional nomination to go to the Air Force Academy to be a fighter pilot because of those 2 years. So I already, by the time Sleepaway Camp, at 18 years old, I had a lot of experience. I had the experience to say, I did wrong. I'm going to make the correction and I'm going to pay for it. I paid for it by a whole year and being embarrassed every day, but I wasn't embarrassed because I took my punishment like a man. Every day facing my friends, that I went through 3 years with, right? And when they graduated, I was there, but I didn't graduate. I went there because they were my friends, but I made new friends. So I already had that experience of taking control and then seeing the benefit of it. I got into one of the top schools in the country to be a fighter pilot because that's what I really, really wanted to do. I had no intention to be an actor. I wanted to be, because I couldn't be a baseball player. I love baseball, but my brother Louis was 6'4", 250. Cleveland Indians took him right out of high school to pitch. He was amazing. So I wanted to be a fighter pilot and have like Lieutenant Saladino, a squadron leader, and just have like 6 and just death and punishment wherever I was going, and Tomahawk missiles, whatever it was. That's was my dream. So all of a sudden, this all came to a crossroads of, do I do the movies or do I go into the Air Force Academy? This was during that same summer. So I said, wow. And I remember coming back from an audition, looking on the side of a bus, and it had Burt Reynolds' picture. So that shows you how old I am, because Burt Reynolds was at that time, right? He was in the movies, right?
Right.
So I said, I want to be that guy. So handsome, sexy guy, had all the girlfriends. So, and then when I was talking to other fighter pilots, not other, but fighter pilots, they kind of convinced me. In hindsight, I think they didn't want the competition, but they said, Frank, it's not like you're going to see fire hydrants and trees when you're going, 750 miles an hour, 1,000 miles an hour. You're not going to see it. You're going to be in the clouds. So they kind of talked me out of it. Now, if I didn't know that I was going to be doing movies, I probably would not have let that bother me. And I still would have said, I don't care about what you say. I'm going to be a fighter pilot. But I passed auditions, and I knew what was a career could change. So I kind of had to pull a little bit. So basically, he just kind of pushed me off the plank and into the career of acting. And that's when I got, the first Turn On, which was a non-union movie. Great experience, by the way. I got $30 in a sandwich. I never forgot that. $30 in a sandwich. That was it. And when I went there, I had to walk over people who were sleeping. I said, where am I? And why is everybody laying down on the floor in blankets? Must have been, with a production crew or something like that. So all the lights were out. I said, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. What's going on here? Yeah, you're in the right place, Frank. You're in the right place. Okay, so I finished that movie, and that's when the fighter pilot career kind of, I left that, and I regret that. That is I probably have 2 regrets, 3 if you count that really hot girl in Costa Rica. But okay, yeah. So that first regret. So she was so tall. So anyway, that's a regret. Because I wish. I think I would have been a great fighter pilot, having a career at, I might not have been rich or anything like that, but that's something that I had a passion for that, because I wanted to do that since I was a kid. That's why. It wasn't like I just wanted to do that. No, I always wanted to be a pilot. I always wanted to be a fighter pilot. So I'm kind of, you never know, but if I had a regret, that would be the regret. That would be my one regret in life, I should say. But then you don't know how everything else would turn out. So why waste time thinking about that? I don't think about things. That's why, first of all, I wish you so much luck, number one, with this wonderful show you have. Number two, I'm grateful for you. First of all, for meeting you. You're a wonderful, wonderful man. I love your personality, and I can't get enough of you. So, and I'm thankful that you chose me, of all the people, to be the first person to be on your show. And I'm greatly honored.
You are the only man that ever got in a crowded elevator with me and faced me. You remember that? He thought he could embarrass me, but I don't embarrass that.
You're right. I forgot about that. Listen, I'm a loose cannon, but I love practical jokes. I live for practical jokes, even at my own detriment. And I'll play it on myself. It's just for everybody else to see. I'm all about the laugh. The laugh, you got to laugh in life. So, first of all, congratulations. And
well,
I just hope this is one of many.
Let's see how it goes before we
Let's
take
see how
congratulations.
It
goes. But
so,
okay,
yes.
So
why I quit? That's
so
why
okay, you jumped off the fighter pilot thing, but here you had a burgeoning movie career. Most people that I know dream about that.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because a couple of things happened. And first of all, I'm glad it happened quickly, because it went up quickly and I left quickly, because I had the experience of knowing the positive results I have when I'm in control. I knew I took control. I aced all my tests, congressional nomination, onto the Air Force Academy. So I had a history of, this is what I do, and this is the results I get. And because in other words, I was in charge of myself while I was a failure, but I also was in charge of myself while I was a success. The difference is I made different decisions, right? I failed at a commitment while I was a failure. I fully committed to my goal when I was a success. And the reason why I was able to do that was because I was in charge. So in acting, I found out two things right off the bat. Number one, there were a lot of egos in acting. And I said, I'm not going to fight somebody's ego they had a bad day, and I'm not going to, I don't like that. I know people have egos, but I'm not going to let your ego interfere with my life. You're not going to tell me if I live or die, eat or starve. That's not going to happen. And then a couple of things. I started to get a little pigeonholed. Every audition I went to, first of all, they told me even in Sleepaway Camp, because I was a lifeguard, stay out of the sun. We don't want you too dark. I said, I'm Sicilian. What do you want from me? That's what God gave me, So, they told me, okay, wear a hood. You're going to go as like a gangster. You're going to be a criminal or a bum. Or I said, there's no Italian doctors. There's no Italian lawyers. Why are you sending me for all these, back alley kind of things? So in the early 80s, I guess there was still that little racist kind of viewpoint where, okay, we're just going to put him as a troublemaker. So that pissed me off. Number one, don't piss off a Sicilian, because we take it, when we cut it, it's cut forever. So, cut the tie. Not. So anyway, put the stiletto away. Okay, I'm sorry. So I was pigeonholed, and I wasn't getting parts I liked, and for stupid reasons like you're dark. And then I already got a great movie. I don't remember what it was, but it was with Scott Baio. And then this was after Sleepaway Camp. Then they called me up to Madison Avenue, and I'm in this gorgeous office, floor to ceiling glass, corner office. And they said, Frank, we have some bad news to tell you. Oh, what's that? Scott Baio's father is his manager and saw your pictures and your video and said, no way I'm not having Frank upstage my son. He's too handsome. I'm not having it. So they kicked me off. So now I'm too dark, too handsome. I got to worry about somebody else's ego. And too many elements outside of my control that I found. I was 20 years old now, and I said, this is not for me, because I'm going to have to, for the rest of my life, have to worry about who got up on the wrong side of the bed, who's going to, or now who feels threatened. I said, there's too many moving parts in here that I don't have control over, and I don't let them do what they want to do over there. I don't want it to affect me. So as long as I was going to stay in the acting, and then the real kicker was when Top Gun came out, and I was like, son of a bitch, I would have been the best Top Gun, because I really knew. I studied it. I actually, before I went there, I studied how to be a fighter pilot. I had books, I had everything. So, and then who do they pick? As white as could be, Tom Cruise. And I said, see, they would never pick me, because I was just too dark, and that I didn't even want to see the movie. I didn't even want to see it. I remember when it came out, and I said, I don't even want to see this movie, because that should have been me in there, instead of this little kid, so everything rubbed me the wrong way in acting. And now I'm not going to say who. I said it in the past, but I remember going up. I was in Screen Actors Guild in Manhattan, and I walked up to a person who I just did a movie with, and I said, hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you since we did the movie. And he's standing here. Because as I was walking up, he was against the elevator waiting for ding, 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 the door open. So as I go over to shake his hand, he looks at me and doesn't even say a word. He looks back like this, like completely ignores me. And I knew then this industry is just filled with a bunch of vacuous, egomaniacs. And I said, I'm either going to kill somebody, but that's not going to work out too good for me, or I might as well just walk away. But how do you function? How do you survive? Now keep in mind, I already knew from history, the way it would be a success was to take control over yourself. And I can't take control over half myself. And then I have to give the other half to you, like in an audition, and find out this kid's father feels threatened, or this one didn't get a, you know what, last night from his wife. And now he's mad at me. And I said, I don't need this. I said, this is not one step forward, two steps back kind of a thing. I'd rather, if I'm going to fail, let me do it on my own, not because of somebody else. So that's why I went in like a flash and out like a flash, because I recognized that this is a failing pursuit. I loved it. I wished it worked. And I still pay my Screen Actors Guild for the last 42 years. I never missed a payment, because if the time is right, I would go back in a heartbeat, because I actually love it that much. You know, so if they were to do a sleepaway camp and find out what happened, which I thought was a good idea. If we, you know, they never did a sleepaway camp where whatever happened to these people who survived, how, whether through therapy, how did it, because we were young, let's say 19, 20 years old. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe me and Ronnie are in a gym, we own a gym or something like that. How did this, you know, what do we accomplish? How did it change our life, the course of our lives, and then maybe come together?
You know, now that you've said that and you start doing some of these horror conventions, someone will walk up to you and say, let's make that movie.
Well, I tell you, I think, first of all, I think it's a great idea. I just came from doing, and Kenny, he's wonderful. Oh my God, I'm just trying to remember. Jeff Hayes, of course, is extraordinary. Made the book Sleepaway Camp, Reigniting a Campfire, and Kenny just put a cinema, oh my gosh, set cinema, oh my gosh, he's gonna kill me. On-set cinema. Okay, on-set cinema. So again, when I met you in Tennessee, that was the first one I had done since I don't know, 2009, like 10 years, and that was the only one I ever did, because I never knew Sleepaway Camp became anything. Once I left the movie business, which was as quick as I came in, I never looked back. I wonder what if, that never happened. I was too busy going forward. I never looked back. So when Jeff Hayes found me 30 years later and said, you know, Sleepaway Camp became huge, I said, new phone, who this? I'm like, I said, really? Oh, wow, that's interesting. So he had me go to Cherry Hill in Jersey, and we did it. I couldn't believe all the fans. But here's the thing. There were fans because there were other cast members there. But then when I met you, that was 10 years ago. So I met you, was March 10th, 11th, 12th. That's what it was. Yeah. I was the only cast member there. Mm-hmm. So everybody there, and there was a line out the door, came to see me. So all of a sudden I started to say, really? Like, Sleepaway Camp means that much to you, and Gino means that much to you? So they started saying, I have everybody else's autograph, but I don't have yours to make it a complete set. You're as rare as it gets. You never come out to do these things. So I had people who drove 8 hours to see me. I said, could you video this? Because nobody's ever going to believe me. They're going to think I'm an ego maniac saying people drove to, but he really did. Could you say that? You know, so I found out that Sleepaway Camp was something, and that Gino meant something to them. Even though it's not me, Robert Hiltzick's dream, I was just a part. It could have been anybody who played Gino. I just happened to be fortunate enough that he chose me. So to see this, so now I just finished doing with On-Set Cinema. I was the first principal actor of Sleepaway Camp to return to that location, which was last week. So I get there, and we'll get back to any other question you have. But this goes to me finding out what became of Sleepaway Camp. Is these people came to specifically see me now, Gino, at the location of Sleepaway Camp last week.
I saw some of the pictures you posted.
It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. So I am in a diner, and I see a guy walk by with a big Sleepaway Camp shirt on. I said, hold on a second. I said, well, I love that shirt. Where are you going? He said, I'm going to a Sleepaway Camp event with On-Set Cinema. I said, well, who's going to be there? He said, Gino, Frank Saladino's going to be there. I said, wow, that's amazing. So I shook his hand. I said, listen, can I take a picture with, he had no idea it was me. I had a little tear coming out of the eye over here, because I guess I don't resemble anything like myself of my better days. So I took a picture with him, and then I ended up going there. And of course, who comes? He sees me, and he realized afterwards. He's like, "Wow, you had me." So he said, we flew in from Georgia. I said, "You flew? You flew? You got on a plane? You paid money? Fly here to see this location and to spend a weekend with me?" He said, "Yes, him and his buddy." So overhearing this, these two other women said, "You think that's something? We drove from Texas to New York to see you, Frank." I said, "Well, I'll be damned." And not to be outdone, another woman said, "I got both of you beat. I came from the Arctic Circle to see you." She said, "I took 2 airplanes and drove 10 hours to see you, Frank, because that's how much you're my favorite character." And then another woman said, "You think that's something? I'm taking your autograph to my tattoo artist and I'm going to get it
Oh,
autographed."
hell. You've
I
reached the
said,
big time, buddy.
so after hearing all of this, I said, I know if we made, because nobody did this angle yet, if we made a sleepaway camp because the fan base is out there, an international fan base is out there. I'm a businessman. I've been in business for over 35 years. It's all about, identifying who the market, identifying who the customers are, and I think we've kind of achieved this. First of all, from just seeing, from you having me on, you could have picked anybody. I'm grateful that you chose me, but to see where these people come from. Now, if she came from the Arctic, do you think there's only one person in the Arctic what about her family, her friends? There must be some people around her to travel that far and then to find out, Australia, sleepaway camp is big. So the point is, there hasn't been a movie that said, how did sleepaway camp affect the future lives of these people? So now we could get to where these people are. And, me and Ronnie, we still work out. I don't know what the other, you got to figure out who's alive, but what did they do today? How did they get to where they are? And somehow, how do we all get back together again and create another horror movie? Like in the movie, what happened? Let's go back and revisit this camp and then find out, something else happened. So it's there. The premise is there. The pieces are there for the movie. The fan base is certainly there. And I just think it's something that should be explored in a serious way. I actually thought about, me and my partner and going, hey, something, why don't we fund this? But this is something that really, I think needs to be done. Listen, was it the greatest movie in the world? Well, you got to start with me, The Exorcist, and Night of the Living Dead, and then take it from that point backwards. So it wouldn't be Sleepaway Camp, but it has a place in history and it has a great following. So I think that would be something that, should definitely be considered by who's ever out there. Contact Wes and he'll contact me.
There you go. Yeah, because nobody else has Facebook. Okay, now you're a businessman now.
Yes.
I'm actually a little fascinated in just the separation from the movie industry to how you made your fame and fortune. Tell everyone what you actually do for a living.
Well, first of all, if someone were to ask me, this is very important. If someone were to ask me what was the greatest benefit to acting, I would say my single greatest benefit of the experience of acting. And number one, I'm so glad. First of all, I was raised by two wonderful parents. My father called himself MOA, man of action. He never said, he even improved on Benjamin Franklin. Don't do what tomorrow you could do today. He would say, don't do tomorrow what you could do now. So that's what he would say. So I grew up that way as the firstborn son, and I have two behind me. We grew up with doing it now. So if I'm going to fail now. Don't fail tomorrow. Fail now so I can try again with a little more experience and intelligence. Like Henry Ford said, that's the benefit of failure. You get to try again with a little more intelligence. So the point is, through acting, I became impervious and numb to the word no, to no, you're not right. You can't do it. You're no good. So I got that so often in that acting business that I didn't even, it went in one ear and out the other. I already had people today would, they would just fall apart. Everybody's so fragile. This generation, this group of people are just, what do you call that flower? You go, and it just like goes off into Never Land, whatever that little ball
Little
of fuzz,
dandelion.
right? Those things. Yeah. That's what everybody is today. I was a tank at 18 years old. You could shoot me and nothing would go through me. So I took that experience and thick skin and will with me to business. But before that happened, because after acting and business, there was if you could see right above me over here. See that guy? Okay. The white shirt is me. The yellow shirt is my brother, Matty. We were the first white rap group in history. So after acting, because I always played the guitar and I always sang. I did that since I'm 7 years old. So camera shy or stage fright, I never had that. I was always playing. And so my brother realized in the 80s that a lot of these Italians were in the nightclubs. And we grew up as entrepreneurs. So my brother realized, hey, listen, in the nightclubs, there's a lot of Italians, hey, oh, way, Guido and Cugines. So, but he noticed, because that's the good thing of an entrepreneur, is to notice what is not there. Notice what is missing, what needs to be there. Where's there an opportunity? What is the opportunity? So he said, you know something? There's all these Italians and they have nothing to associate with. No icon, nothing to point to and say, this is me. So my brother Matty said, why don't we? Now, a lot of people don't know, but an Italian back in those days was called a Guido. They had Capizios on, the shoes, the parachute pants. Go ahead.
So in other words, except for my background,
the Duchesne's guy.
Except for my background, I owned Capizios. Okay. Yeah, I had parachute pants. I had Capizios.
Yeah, we all did. So my brother Matty recognized that all of these guys in the clubs didn't have someone to emulate and say, that's me. So my brother Matty, now at the time, the Beastie Boys were out, but they played instruments. They weren't rapping yet. So my brother Matty created the Guido MCs. So the Guido MCs, and he started out with my name. I'm Matt the Horse, and now it was originally my brother Louis, and he called him Lou Ragu. So it was Matt the Horse and Lou Ragu. So because I'm the oldest brother, I had my own room. My other two brothers shared a room. So my brother Matty had the idea, and who was he going to talk to? The brother in his bedroom, because they shared the same bedroom. And he said, Louis, how would you like to be in a band? Okay, great. So what are we doing? So my brother Matty made the lyrics up, and Matty is the youngest brother. Louis is the middle brother. I'm the oldest brother. So the middle brother, Louis, was giving Matty a little kickback with how he should write the lyrics. So my brother Matty said, Louis, do me a favor. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. He leaves his bedroom. I remember I was studying at my desk, and my brother Matty comes in. We were, 22 and 23. So Matty said, hey, Frankie, you want to be in a rap group? So I said, yeah, sure. So he goes back to Louis. He goes, Louis, you're fired. Frankie's in. So it became from Matt the Horse and Lou Ragu. It became Matt the Horse and Frankie Flash. So that's who we are over here. So we started the Guido rap, and we would play like 3-4 times a week. And I was making more money in the 2 songs we did than my father, who was an electrician, did in a month. And I said, so we kind of kept with the entertainment stuff, because the acting stuff was entertainment, but it was with somebody else's control. Mm-hmm. When you were creating rap music, you were writing it yourself. You were going out and getting the gigs, so you had more control over it. But even then, there's still, you have to learn things. Like, we didn't have a manager. We didn't know that rap was going to become so big. we wanted to use rap as a stepping stone to get into actual pop music where I could play the guitar and that kind of stuff. So we left rap. We got Vicky Sue Robinson, who did Turn the Beat Around, and she did a song with us where it became musical. And then everybody wondered, and we changed our name. So everybody to Charisma. So everybody was wondering, where did the Guido MCs go? So we started this underground Italian Guinea stuff where there's actual a book. Oh, where is that book? I have it somewhere over here, but it was a book that they made, and it was about us Italians. It's called From Bensonhurst to the Jersey Shore. So we started. This is a very interesting point. We started the Guinea culture with Benson. We did 2 songs, the Guido Rap and Bensonhurst 86th Street. So we had gold chains. Go to YouTube, search Guido Rap, Guido MCs, Guido MC on YouTube, and you will see me and my brother Matty actually performing. I was probably 24 or 25 years old. My other brother was probably 21. So we started the Guinea Guido industry, of which decades later became the Jersey Shore. There was nothing like that before. We started all of that because we gave a name, the Guidos, to all these people who occupied the clubs, and we gave them 2 stars to look at and say, that's us. We were caricatures of ourselves. The hats, the machine guns, the gold chains, all this kind of stuff. Watch the video and you'll see. Maybe you could actually put an excerpt on in your,
I might just do that.
People will see that, So we did that, and because it was still in the entertainment business. But then that's a whole business unto itself. Still entertainment, but we found out with management and writers' credits that because everything's a hustle. Even in that business, it was a hustle. So record companies would say, we want to take your record, but we want to change the lyrics. And my brother Matty was like, you're not touching my lyrics. Because when they changed the lyrics, they would share writers' credits. So every record sold. So not only did I, by the way, have the unique opportunity to see myself not once but twice in a movie theater, but I also got to go to the record stores, Sam Goody's and the Wiz, and see our records in Sam Goody's and the Wiz. And I wasn't even 20, maybe I was 24. So by that time, I already had 2 movies and 2 records in all over the country. So that's a pretty unique thing to have both of those, right? To have records and movies. So, and right after that is when we figured out, listen, I'm going to get into business. By the way, simultaneously, I joined Local 3 as a IBEW electrical apprentice, and went through the whole apprenticeship, became a union Local 3 electrician, and then started businesses simultaneously. So at that early stage, I was working full time as an electrician apprentice, so 8 hours a day. 2 nights a week I went to college, and then I had 3 businesses all at the same time. So for a couple of decades, I slept 3 hours a day. So I remember laughing when people would say, so where do you hang out? And I said, hang out? I said, last time I hung out I was 16. After that, I never hung out again. It was always, I'm doing something. Or if I'm like going to the club, we finished the gig at 2:00 in the morning. I went home, basically showered up and then went to work, So you find out what you can do when you don't waste time. So my father never wasted a minute. When people were sleeping on the trains or reading newspapers, he was studying lyrics of new songs, even though he was an electrician. So he never wasted a minute. So I would tell whoever's out there, fans, don't waste your time. Don't waste time. Value your time. Do as much as you can. Do as much as you can with it, because the filthy rich people still have 24 hours a day. They don't have any more hours a day than you do. So what does it mean? It means, what do they do with their time, right? And then when you read about them and you find out that all the people with $1 million or more And this was after studying millionaires from 1 million to five, those with 5 million to those with 10 million. And I don't mean like including your house or cars. I mean, can you write me a check for 1 million? Can you write me a check for 5 million? Can you write me a check for 10 million? When they interviewed all those people, they found this statistic. They found that 14% of those people were, and this is something that's hard to believe, but it was studied for 20 years, and there's actual book on it, The Millionaire Next Door, and then followed up by The Millionaire Mind. So they studied these people, and they found out 14% of those people inherited the money. 6% of those people is if you were to add every major league, baseball player, entertainer, if you lumped all of these sports figures together, that it's only 4%. That leaves you with 80% of people are first-time millionaires. And you can add up the next 20 countries, all the millionaires in the 20 countries. We still in the United States have developed more millionaires in 1 year than all of these 20 countries combined in 1 year. So why is that? Because you're allowed to fail. You're allowed to try and fail. You're allowed to take the risk and fail. So the only difference, so when you say, oh, well, I wasn't handed money or I'm not rich, 80% of those people weren't handed money or started out rich. First-time business people. They had faith in themselves. Kind of like the stock market. I said, before I invest in somebody else, if I'm investing in a stock market, I'm investing in somebody I don't even know. I don't know who owns this company. I don't know how they're spending their money. I know how I spend my money. So let me go into business, because who do I trust in this world? Me. If I'm going to fail, at least I could sleep at night and go, I failed because I was lazy. I failed because I made a mistake. Not, oh, why did I invest in that person and they took my money? I never want to be in it, but I was in that position twice. I was in that position, because sometimes you always have to keep yourself on track.
Mm-hmm.
So take control of yourself. Don't be thin-skinned, and try to learn, and that includes even failing, because even failure is a learning experience. But do it quickly. Do it quickly so you can get back on it. Fall off the horse, get back up, and start going again. So, and that's when I started business, is because I saw that again with the music business, we went off the track. We didn't know that rap was going to be so big, and we were trying to get into music because we really like to play and sing. But we should have known, if we stayed with rap, there could have been something like that. And we made that mistake, and that's when I started inventing products and going into business, and that's what ended up happening. That's when I got into Home Depot. I'm going to show you something. Hold on a second. Right here, I still have to put this up. Maybe you can see this in there. Remember Billy Mays, who you kind of look like? Where's this way? Oh, that's Billy Mays here, Roxy Clean. Remember that guy?
Oh yeah, I remember him.
So if you put a blue shirt on, you'd look like him. So I invented this product called the Pro Handle, which was used to put in all the grass in Yankee Stadium and a lot of other Major League Baseball stadiums. So it eliminates a need to bend. You don't have to. You could look up on YouTube Billy Mays Pro Handle to see it, but I don't even sell them anymore. But the point is, I said, I only trust myself. Let me invent a product. So I invented a product called the Pro Handle. I worked my butt off 7 days a week. This is after my regular job. I would go to Home Depots I traveled the country. I had a newborn son, by the way, and I would go on to 4 different cities, 5 different airplanes in a day, 4 different cities, 4 different meetings. And in a day now.
Mm-hmm.
And I would do that often to sell the Pro Handle to government, state, and city agencies. And I remember one guy saying, Frank, he goes, you sold 5,000 of these in 5 minutes. He goes, we want to offer you a job. And I said, thank you, but no, thank you. I only want to work for myself, but I appreciate the offer. Thank you for, acknowledging and mentioning. But anyway, so that's the power of what happens when you have control, because you can have control to just sit on your hands all day long too. Right. So it depends on what you want. So, and I started my son out early. I said, if you can envision a lifestyle, what, live in a box? It's your life, whatever you want, or live in a mansion, whatever it is, and then de-engineer it, right? So if here's a guy who lives, if this is what you want to live in a mansion, you want to live wherever you want to live, and the lifestyle, some people don't want to do that. Some people won't make them happy, but whatever it is that would make you happy, start from there and work backwards. So you'll find out, hey, if you want to live in a mansion and all this, and then you want to take basket weaving in college, there's going to be a disconnect. So you have to match it up with the merit that will create that. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Don't believe anybody who tells you it's going to be handed to you, or you deserve it, or anything like that. Because as soon as they give it to you, the hook is in you. They take it away from you, or now you owe them forever. You don't ever want to be a part of that. You'd rather try and fail on your own and not owe anybody anything. So get that out of your system early. Earlier you fail, quicker you can get back up and take control of your own life. And you know what? I tell you what, even if you work for somebody, treat the job as if it's your job, because you will be recognized. In other words, general rule, show up early, stay late. Even if you're paid, even if it's a salary, don't be the first guy to leave, because you will be, I'll guarantee you, as soon as I know the sun will shine tomorrow, you will be recognized. You will get a pay raise. You're going to get a better position. Something's going to happen, because good people like that are hard to find. So you don't have to have your own business, but you could still be in charge of yourself, still be in charge of, hey, everybody's flying out the door at 3:00. I'm going to wait to 3:15. Maybe I'll clean up a little bit. Because you might find out that the boss might need somebody, and you might be the only person there at the time, and go, wow, he's there. And you go, sure, I'll help you. You don't have to pay me anything. I'm going to help you. And because it shows character. See, and character is what's going to get you the position. That's what's going to get you the raise. So you don't have to say, oh, I'm never going to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to be successful or to be worthy of anything, or to live the lifestyle that you want to live. So start that, engineer it, and then, start from there. So I already knew what I wanted, because I had a cousin who's Superman. He was in college at 16. Who's in college at 16? He graduated Wharton. He had $35 million in his late 20s. So he was my first cousin. So I got to see how this works in real life. And he was the coolest guy ever on top of that. He was so cool, handsome guy, so cool. And I said, look at this guy. So I didn't even have to read books. I'm living. He's like my brother. So when I got to see this firsthand, to know that what he says works, and what he would say sometimes contradicts yourself, what you think. He would say, Frankie, would you rather find comfort in knowing you're going to get the same salary every week, pass or fail, you're going to make the same money? He said, I would rather live with the excitement of never knowing what I'm going to get. It's all on my sales. The harder I do, the more I make. If I don't work hard, I don't get. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a little scared of that. I'd rather be sure that I'm going to get, the $200 a week. And he's like, So I got used to, again, at an early age, of not being tied to the golden handcuffs, a salary, even if you're, again, I don't want people to misunderstand a salary meaning a job, because you can have a salary and still your character says, I'm going to show up early, I'm going to stay late, I'm going to do more than what's expected. So in other words, what you're actually doing is outside of the scope of your salary, and then you're going to get recognized for that, and you will be rewarded handsomely. I promise you that. So so do that. But back to the pro handle. But the pro handle got me into Home Depot. And I remember an older guy saying, Frank, learn to work the snake, because he hated big corporations. But he said, learn to work it. And so the pro handle got me into the store. And then I learned, and then I realized earlier that, because I became an expert in inventions, but I learned that inventions come and go. So the goose that lays the golden eggs is not the invention, because that comes and goes. It's mastering the process. As one invention comes, another one goes, another one comes, another one goes, another one comes. So it's how do you get through? How do you learn about what affects raw materials and geographical, geopolitical, processes, that things that are happening across the regions in the world that affects your raw materials, and how these corporations think, and how logistics works, and how buyers think, and how insurance works, and how customers thinks, how packaging thinks, how people see packaging. So you start to focus not on the invention, because that comes and goes, but the process, kind of like a car wash. Each car comes in. That's a great analogy. Just thought of that myself. So a car wash goes in, you have a million different cars, but inside it's the same, right? First, the guy sprays the tires. He gives it the quick power wash, right? He hits the tires, the rims with the, what do you call? And then it goes through and suds it up and washes it off, suds it up, washes it off, and then dries it. And then they spick and span it and detail it outside. That's your invention. So I learned how to be the car wash. It didn't matter what invention's coming through. And then I started to get all my products in Plumber's Edge. So now I'm the number one, I'm the only, not number one, the only supplier in the world of the finest teak on planet Earth, which is Costa Rican teak. Not because the most beautiful girls are from Costa Rica, but because Costa Rica has, I'm sorry, just goes back to those. So anyway, Costa Rican teak is, they make yachts out of them. So it's the finest teak in the world for decks, pergolas, fencing, and lumber for cabinet making. So if you go to HomeDepot.com and look up Costa Rican teak deck, or Costa Rican teak lumber, or Costa Rican teak countertops, that's all my stuff. And we sell it all across the United States through Home Depot, and any day Lowe's, and then Menards. So that keeps me busy all day, every day. And that's what I do, aside from play guitar. So really, those are the two things. So business, play guitar. And when I can, fish. I love to fish.
Fair enough. Because, okay, I want to bring this full circle now.
Yes.
What is your favorite genre of movies? Are you a horror movie fan?
Yes. I'm going to make you laugh. I'm going to make you laugh. And I get this from my father, because he was a jumper and I'm a jumper. So when we were watching Jaws, he took us to see Jaws, and they went out. They were wondering where that one guy's boat was with the three other guys in there. And remember, and what's his name went down, and there was a hole in the boat underneath the water, and the head came out.
Yes. Right? I remember jumping when that happened.
Yes. My father leaped out of the chair in a movie theater, and popcorn went all over the place. So I got that. I inherited the jump from him. So they call me the jumper. So just last night, I said, at this show, the event that Onset Cinema put on last week at the Sleepaway Camp location, people had already come from the location of The Burning with Cropsey and the Shears. Right. I never saw The Burning. I didn't know that. First of all, Harvey Weinstein, that was his first movie, and both he and I grew up in the same community, like, a couple apartment buildings down. My friend's older brothers used to beat him up. So, I mean, we kind of grew up together. So I watched the movie last night, and I didn't realize there were 4 actors in there. Like, was it Jason Alexander? What's his name from Seinfeld, right? So if that's what his name is. But anyway, there were 4 people in The Burning, which was 1981. Sleepaway Camp was made in 82 and came out in 83. So I saw these people, when they went to the location of Sleepaway Camp, already were kind of dressed, some of them from The Burning location. Mm-hmm. So I said, when I come back, let me watch The Burning and see what this is all about. So I watched it last night, and there were a couple of scenes. First of all, the door opens up, a bird comes flying out. My sheets flew off the bed like this because I was laying in bed and I watched it. So I still jump. As soon as now, my scariest movie ever was The Exorcist. And so horror is my is my my favorite, aside from documentaries, because there's a distinction. I love to learn, and I love history. So if it's entertainment, it's going to be horror. If it's to watch anything, it will 100% be documentaries. But I do like a good horror movie. I had a buddy of mine who was in the 101st Airborne, and he said, Frankie, he goes, I'm sitting. This is when The Exorcist came out with these uncut scenes. And so he said, I'm watching TV. It must have been about 1:30 in the morning, and my girlfriend is sitting next to me. Not me, his girlfriend. So here's a guy who jump out of a parachute with a machine gun. And he said, Frankie, the TV commercial came on, and The Exorcist was like crab walking backwards down the stairs. He said, I just grabbed myself. He goes, I grabbed the remote and went, Tom and Jerry, 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 Tom and Jerry. He goes, I couldn't even look at that. And he said for the next like 20 minutes, he's watching TV and he's just looking at his girlfriend like this in case she's changing. He goes,
they don't do that till you marry.
He goes, that scared the daylights out of him. He couldn't even watch it, thinking she was going to turn into, Reagan, whoever was next to him was going to turn into something. So, yeah, I love horror movies. I don't love jumping, but I can't help it. And even though I know it's going to be in there, somehow it's going to scare me. Like when The Sixth Sense came on, I couldn't go to the bathroom. Every time I go to the bathroom, because that's when whatever it was supposed to catch you. And then the goose pimples. So whatever it is, puts it in your head. And here I am. I'm supposed to be, tough guy Gino in Sleepaway Camp, and a horror movie gets me every time. I'm a big scaredy cat when it comes to that. Even right now, I am. Even last night, like I said, I get scared of that. But that's my favorite genre for sure.
Well,
yeah.
I'll close on that note. I found out a lot more about you than I even knew before, even though we talked a whole lot at FrankenCon.
You reminded me of stuff I never thought about.
Yeah.
So thank you for your interview.
Well,
it's very helpful. It's like therapy. Now I know why I am the way I am.
Now, I'd saved you like $200 an hour.
Yes.
So everybody, this has been the premiere episode of Scarefest TV Plus. I hope you'll come back and find more.